Blow your nose. Scratch your nose.
Oh, I think we're live. Oh no! Oh no! The first thing anyone heard us say was what? Okay, so we're live. If somebody can say in the chat that they can see and hear us, go ahead and do that. Make sure we're live. I'm going to get started. Hello and welcome to Sisters in Crime's Sync 50K Challenge launch party. Are you guys ready to write? Like really write? Some of us are not, but we're going to get there. I'm Lourey Rader-Day, the immediate past president of Sisters in Crime, and I'm excited to spend time with you and 29 members of Sisters in Crime, board members, local leadership, members across the nation, and I think we've got some sisters already from Europe checking in the chat, so it's really exciting. Today is a huge test of my crowdcast hosting abilities, but I think we're going to have a great time. So buckle in, get your notebook ready. So Sisters in Crime, most of you know this, but just in case you don't, Sisters in Crime is the international inclusive community for all those who love and write crime, mystery, thrillers, and suspense. We welcome all genders, all genres, all stages of your writing success story. To learn more about Sisters in Crime and the many ways we support our members across the globe and at the chapter level, please visit www.sistersInCrime.org. A few housekeeping notes before we get started. This is in the chat as well, but the chat moves pretty fast, I think. The best browser to use in accessing our webinars live, especially, is Google Chrome, followed by Firefox. If you're having trouble and you have another option for your browser, try that. You might also just log out and log back in again. That sometimes will fix a problem. If you're using one of those browsers and still experiencing trouble, you can click either the Get Audio Video Help in the lower left corner of your screen, or click the Help button at the top right of your screen and click on Compatibility Mode. So it's just some things to try. This video will also be in our archives very soon. So if you have technical trouble and it's just not working for you, check back in with us later and you can watch the replay. So feel free to use the comments. I see you guys are already doing that. We do have the ask a question button. We don't have a lot of time for questions though, so don't start asking Cathy Pickens all about her secrets. Okay,
Whatever.
She's not going to have time to give you more than the one secret she's bringing to you today. So I have posted some of our tech help tips in the chat if you want to check that out. But we're going to go ahead and get started with SG Sandra Wong, who is the current national president of Sisters in Crime and author of the Lola Stark novels. Welcome, Sandra.
Thank you, Lourey. I'm here here in live. I'm joining everyone from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Unlike Boston and area, we don't have snow on the ground. But I hope you all had a great Halloween and you're ready to start NaNoWriMo this year. Welcome to everyone. Welcome to all our siblings and sisters in crime. Also, welcome to all our guests. I hope that you find a lot today. It's an informal gathering. I may look like really professional on top. I'm wearing slippers, so don't feel intimidated. However you come is awesome. So because this is like going to be fast and furious, I hope that's not trademarked. If you have some note-taking abilities next to you, I really recommend it because you're going to get tips from so many amazing, talented writers. You might want to have that ready. So at the end of our whole thing today, this launch party, we will have links. I'll drop some links in the chat, so you can join our Facebook group because we're over 400 members strong there, and it's just going to be a great way to keep yourself going and keep yourself on task. I think that's probably the big challenge for this month for all of us. There's also going to be a link I'll drop for our special Sisters in Crime Sync 50K group. And so that's going to be like regular updates on all the things we have happening this month because we can't give them all to you right now. We don't want to overwhelm anyone. But that'll be in the links in the chat, after I'm done my spot. And also you can follow Sisters in Crime on Twitter at SINC National, SINC National. And we also have Twitter sprints and all sorts of stuff happening there as well. So whatever your platform is, we also have an Instagram account, of course. So whatever your platform is, hopefully we can be there for you there. So I would like to kick this all off with gratitude. I am grateful to live and create on Treaty 6 land. So we are all on Indigenous land, and we are all over the place today. So I really encourage you to just find out what Indigenous peoples were on the land that you are now living in and settled on. And just to check out the contemporary Indigenous artists and leaders in your area, wherever speaks to you, and just see what the teachings are available so that we can build our future together for the benefit of all of us. I think there's lots that we can all learn. So I'm also really, really grateful to the NaNoWriMo Sisters in Crime team. Try saying that 5 times fast. Whew. So this was a beautiful sponsorship initiative brought up by our publicity liaison, Vanessa Lillie. Thank you, Vanessa. It came about under the presidency of Lori Rader-Day when she was president. Brilliant ideas. Our team lead is Faye Snowden, who's our board secretary. She keeps us in line, and let me tell you, it's a job and a half. We also have the wonderful help of board members Kellye Garrett. Everybody knows Kellye. If you don't know Kellye, you will soon. Tracee de Hahn, our vice president, Stephanie Gayle, and then, of course, our acting executive director, Julie Hennrikus. We could not do it without this NaNoWriMo team. And also we have a huge number of volunteers, some of whom you'll see because everyone on today's launch party, they're just volunteering their time and expertise. And that's a real comment on the nature of the Sisters in Crime community. So I'm just so proud to be a part of this group. Thank you for joining us today at this launch party. I know not everyone, like Sherry Harris, I saw you in the chat. You got your 1,000 words in today. Okay, good for you. The rest of us, we're going to get going after this, I think. So let me kick it all off. We're going to do fast and furious, like I said, like Alex Segura, too fast, too furious, maybe. I'm going to start off with a tip that I would love to share with you. So maybe you, like me, get stuck, whether you're a pantser or a plotter, or you're a plantser like me. So I have an outline, I start that way, and I don't always end up following it. Sometimes I write myself into a corner. So one thing I found that can help is to change the narrative perspective. So whether you're writing first person, second person, third person, omniscient, third person close, unreliable, it actually doesn't matter. Say you write yourself into some corner and you're stuck with your plot in that scene. You can just step back and then switch. If you're writing your protagonist, switch to your antagonist point of view, because it can help clarify what your antagonist wants at this point in the plot. It can help you clarify what the desires and wishes are in that particular scene. It can also help you clarify what the oppositional conflict might be at that point. And if you find there isn't one, that also helps you. So you can write that opposite point of view, and you can also keep the words as part of your word count for Nano. I mean, don't think about whether or not you're going to keep them until after you're done the month's writing. And you may find that you want to continue with a second POV, or you might find that you can incorporate that some other way. So anyway, the most important thing about switching that narrative is it gets your brain out of that stuck spot, and it can shift your brain just enough that you can see alternate paths for your protagonist at whatever point it was you got stuck. So trust your process. Haha, we always say that, but it's true. Trust your story, and you got this. And if you feel that you don't, you always have the Sisters in Crime community, and we're going to be cheering you on like today. So as I said, we have more wonderful speakers coming up, and I'm going to drop those links in the chat for you. So you got this, everybody. I'm cheering you on.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much, Sandra. Okay, we're going to get started. Cathy Pickens is the one of the many past, we have a lot of past presidents on this today. It's so exciting. It's the past president of Sisters in Crime and the author of the Southern Fried Mysteries. She's also doing some true crime stuff lately. Cathy, what do you have for us today?
Well, Lori, when you emailed and said, do you have advice you want to share? I didn't even have to stop and think. My advice is show up. And y'all have already done that. I have a young man. He was my student in an MBA program, and now we're business partners. And that's probably why we get along so well, because that's his mantra: just show up. Most people don't. So you're already here. Now, what do you do with the showing up part? Some of the best advice I ever stumbled on, however it came, is from a psychologist who has the unlikely last name of Csikszentmihalyi. And he did a lot of, so you have to see nods. He wrote and did a lot of research on the concept of flow, like words are flowing out of you. And I always think about it as that otherworldly sort of runner's high that you get. Not that I run, but I also think about it as any sort of exercise activity where you kind of start out and it's not going too well at first and you have to get better at it as you go along. So in his research, he said there's three elements, that you need for flow. The first is a goal. You got that. Done, checked off. The second is that the goal has to be measurable. I think you know what you have to get done in the next 30 days. Check that one off. And the third thing is that it has to be a challenge. It can't be too easy or you'll be bored. But it also can't be too hard or you'll become frustrated and disappointed. So I think you've got that too. You know how to tell a story. Your readers, this is something you've planned for. Check that off. So, okay, that's all great theory, but how do you put that into action? For me, it's very simple, and I preach it all the time. Same time, same place, every day. Show up. It sounds very routine, and somebody say, "Oh, well, I wish I could go to a coffee shop," or "Oh, I couldn't do it at 1 o'clock today." That's fine. You still set the goal. You show up, same time, same place, every day. And I will make you a wager. You will not be able to tell when you finally go back to read over what you've worked on over the next month. You won't be able to tell which you wrote on the days where things were flying. You lost track of time. You were immersed in the deep pool and emerged hours later very happy and content and a little fuzzy-headed, versus the days where you sat down and there was a hurricane outside, which we had a couple of days ago here, or a migraine headache, or somebody's world just fell apart. You won't be able to tell the difference in the good days and the bad days. There'll still be words on the page for you to work with. So show up. And thank y'all so much. I'm excited to see what you're going to come up with, and happy writing.
Thank you so much, Cathy, for being with us today. I just love listening to your voice. I could just listen to it all day. Okay. Next, we have Susanna Calkins. Susanna is the Sisters in Crime Chicagoland chapter president and the author of The Speakeasy Mysteries, which are set in Chicago. Susanna, what do you think we should be thinking about right now?
Yeah, hi. And I do want to say and thanks for mentioning being in Chicago, following Sandra. I want to say that we also, if you're in the Chicagoland area, you're on the Council of the lands from the Council of Three Fires, the Ojibwe, the Odawa, and the Potawatomi. Thank you for that land recognition. I think that's really important. So for me, when I think about Nano, I was thinking about how can I help use this to support goals that I already have. So I'm working on my 6th Lucy Campion mystery, which are set in 17th century England. And I have written about 40K in that. And I thought, well, Nano, I'm not going to be starting from a start with this novel. I'm going to just start where I am. And I thought, I'm just going to use it to work on goals I already have. And for me, I have a full-time day job and kids. And so I often find it really hard to do the whole writing every day thing. And I refuse to make myself feel bad about not writing every day. I don't make myself feel guilty. I joke about it, but I'm like, if I put 3 sentences on the page, I'm real happy about that. I'm like, because that's 3 sentences more than I was. And I think that for me, it's like, I study motivation in my day job. And one of the things I know, from research, and actually Csikszentmihalyi, who we just heard from, the idea is that, you have choice and you're making your choice yourself, setting your own tasks and your own goals, not having other people set those goals for you. You're setting your tasks and goals. And so if you want to work on 20K like I am, that's great. If you want to do the 50K, that's amazing. I'm inspired by you. But, it's also about choice of tasks. So some days I don't want to write every single day, or I can't, I'm tired, or, but I might do what I call writing adjacent tasks. And I know people say that's not writing. I view it as important. And so it's writing, meaning like maybe I research something, maybe I look something up, maybe I try to think of a different word, something. And that actually can be very inspiring, looking at images, looking at maps. And so I give myself the goal, like my own goals that don't have to be writing goals, so that's part of like how I try to make sure I get done. But I wish everybody awesome, good luck, happy writing. We're all in this together, which is partly why I was like, I got to do this because I want to be like in all the groups. So good luck to everybody, and have a great day. We can do this. We can.
I love how it's like FOMO, right? I have to do this because otherwise I don't get to be in the fun and with the group. So
exactly,
okay.
That's right. We can
good
do it.
reason. All right, thank you so
Bye-bye.
much, Susie. I'm inviting Sujata up here. Oh, good. I'm glad Sujata, it didn't have your last name. So I'm like, well, it could be another Sujata. So I'm just going to take a risk on this. So we've got Sujata coming up, and we've got Sarah Smith. Sarah is, let me get your bio real quick. So Sarah is, she's a volunteer with the National Sisters in Crime on our education team. So she is probably better at this crowdcast stuff than I am, but I gave her a break today. She's also the author of most recently Crimes and Survivors. So Sarah, what do you think we should be thinking about right now?
Okay. Tiny blatant self-promotion, Crimes and Survivors, available in all formats, wherever fine books are sold. Hi, Sujata. Back when we could go to coffee houses, my writing time involved going to a cafe after work, because I work full time, ordering myself something tasty and spending an hour with the butt in the cafe chair, away from my editorial mind, just hanging out with my people in my world and getting those words out. The cafe, not so much now. But do something to remind yourself of what delicious, self-indulgent, fun writing is. Make an association, for instance, between writing and something else that's self-indulgent, like a favorite latte, or a piece of music, or a touch of essential oil or perfume. And let me blatantly self-promote my friend John Beebe's JanuaryScent.com. If I smell this good, I must be a good writer. Whatever makes you comfy. Stuffed animals. Writing is wonderful. It's great. It's absolutely the most perfect self-indulgence you can dream of. And now we're getting to do it together and finding tricks and tips and inspiration and writing buddies and new friends. Welcome to Sisters in Crime's Sync 50K group for NaNoWriMo. Mwah.
Very cool. I love your stuffed animal. That's awesome.
I love my stuffed animal.
Oh, cute. Okay. Thank you so much, Sarah. So next we have Sujata Massey, who is the author of the Praveen Mystery series. Mystery series. I think I'm getting that right. Sujata, what do you have for us today?
Well, thank you for inviting me on. I want to say I'm in Baltimore, and I've just learned that that's the land of the Piscataway people. So I want to share that, and I'm glad that Sandra is making us mindful of where we are and who was here before us. So I want to talk about something that is not button share. I want to talk about writers and movement. I think it's really, really beneficial for a writer to walk every day. Even if you have this big goal, I think it's really important. And there are a few reasons. The first reason I'm going to tell you, I didn't know about until recently when I started doing this. But there are a number of studies that have proven that people are significantly more creative if they have walked before they have sat down to do a task. And they have tried this with people who are outdoors. They've tried it with people who are indoors. They found that 70-year-old people who took a walk are more creative than 20-year-old people who were sitting in place. And here we have people, young people behind who are walking. They are walking. They're moving. So I'm no argument there. But it's phenomenal. It's a really interesting thing to know about. And one of the ideas is that when you are walking outside in nature, you don't have a lot to concentrate on. And this soft focus allows you to re-energize. And what I typically do is I like to, before I start my walk, I might think about what's coming up in my next scene, whatever challenge I have. And then I kind of forget about it. And when I come back and I address my work again, it's a lot better. So that's one really good reason to walk. And I know within our Sisters in Crime community and within any community, there are people who walking is going to be difficult for. And you could be in a wheelchair, it's like moving your arms. If you're wheeling yourself, it works. If you're doing physical activity in your home, maybe something that you worked out with the person who's your physical therapist. So there is a way for it to be inclusive. The other part of it, of course, is the health part. And in addition to walking, which I would suggest that if you do it kind of early in the morning, if you can, other time of day is fine too. I also think it's really important to find a way to stretch yourself out. Like a lot of us get like this. Mm-hmm. I know I do. So this is my new friend. It's my foam roller.
What?
On this foam roller, it's a foam roller at least once a day. And I do some yoga. Oh, and then, okay, you guys are going to tell me that it's a rainy day and you can't walk. You can dance in your house for 5 to 10 minutes. You can jump on your trampoline. You can do whatever kind of light calisthenic you want. I'm interested in getting as many ideas out as I can and feeling comfortable and energized when I sit down. So that's why I move. And I don't want to have sciatica. I don't want to have neck and shoulder pain and lower back pain, all things that are old friends of mine. And that's all better. And, with all that we have to do with NaNoWriMo, we can't afford to be flat on our backs because of writing-related injuries. So I encourage you to join me in this. Thank you. And the evangelism is over.
No, I'm so glad you brought this up. I actually have a physical therapist right now because of the deadline I just met, sitting in my chair for 11, 12, 13 hours a day. So I'm really glad you suggested this as a topic. It is, we need to get up from the chair once in a while. Butt and seat, yes, but get up once in a while. Sciatica is exactly what I have right now, and I don't recommend it at all. Thank you, Sujata. I'm going to drop you from the call, and I like all the help you're getting with the groceries back there.
No.
I mean, way to go, Sujata. You've got to figure it out.
Yeah, get a staff also.
With a staff, yes. Thank you so much. All right, so next we have Tracy Clark, also in Chicago. Tracy, what do you have?
Good morning, everybody. Well, I'm going to talk about writing schedules. All of us are serious about writing because that's why we're here. You have to have a schedule. There's a big difference between looking for points in your day where you might be able to get some writing done and actually creating for yourself a dedicated, firm writing block that you stick to. All writers are different. Everybody has a different process. What works for me might not work for you. You just sort of have to find that spot in your day where you can sort of dedicate that time. If you're an early bird and 4 and 5 o'clock sort of works for you before the world starts going and the house wakes up, that's your time. If you're a night owl and 4 o'clock in the morning sort of fills you with dread and trepidation and you can't do it, maybe after dinner, after the dishes are done, that's your time. You have to find that block somewhere in that day dedicated for you, that you're selfish about, that you guard with your life, and that's your writing period. Also, don't ignore those little bits of time during the day. You might be sitting in a doctor's office or getting your car serviced. That half hour or 45 minutes, perfect slot to work on a scene, a bit of dialogue. Don't waste that time. Just find the time that works for you, stick to it. Everybody's different. Nothing is wrong. Nobody's going to judge you if you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning or at 1 o'clock in the evening. They may. Don't listen to them. It's you. This is your book. Nobody can write it but you. Nobody's going to write it but you. You have to stick to it. You have to be really precious with your time. And that's writing time. That's not researching. That's not checking your email. That's not checking social media to see who's talking about you. This is you writing your book, and you have to guard it. There's no secret to it. There's no secret formula. Nobody's going to be in there to say it's wrong. Butt in the seat, head in the game, and go. And that's all I got. It's not easy. Nobody's going to sit there and say, oh, Tracy, you have to do it. That's your time. Do it. Take it. Make use of it. And happy writing.
Awesome. Tracy, I forgot to introduce you. So the author of the Cass Rains PI series. I mean, I dropped the ball on that. It's awesome series, I'll say, because I didn't at the beginning. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
I'm going to unceremoniously drop you from the video. And we have, next up, Hank Phillippi Ryan, who is another past president of Sisters in Crime, who's joining us today. I'm so excited. And author of, most recently, The First to Lie. Hank, what do you have to suggest for us today?
First, I wanted to welcome everybody. It's just so great to see you all today. And I think one of the things Tracy said was so great is, I think we all think, oh, it's too hard. It's too hard. If it were easy, everybody would do this. And if it's hard, if it's not hard, I don't think you're working hard enough. So it should be a little bit hard. You should be leveling up every moment of every day. But that said, NaNoWriMo is kind of a different kind of thing. I come to you from Boston, the land of the Wampanoags, and grateful for that every day. One of the things that I think about in NaNoWriMo, I sort of learned from Sue Grafton. And Sue Grafton used to say, get over yourself. You're just writing a book. It's not nuclear war. You're just writing a book. And it's not like a test. It's not like you write a paper and you hand it in and the teacher says A or F. You're just writing something that nobody has to see except for you. And you know that the book is going to come to life in the editing and revisions anyway. And all you're really doing is finding your story, just like I do every day as a reporter. I go out and in search of the story. So think of yourself as on this journey to find your story with no pressure, no one looking over your shoulder. It's just you on this adventure. I got some other advice this is so crazy, from a fictional character in Ellie Griffith's wonderful The Stranger Diaries. One of the main characters is an English professor, and she tells her class, the muse only comes when you're working. And I really think that's so great. You invite her in by being here and doing what she wants you to do. And that said, my practical advice for how I have done this, for working on my 13th book now, and I'm at 95,000 words. So my deadline is November the 15th. So I'm going to go fast forward, is to allow myself to succeed. And that is done this way, by math. This whole thing is just arithmetic. It's addition, 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 addition. And if you just keep adding words, no matter how hard it is, at some point, every day the words add up. And you open your computer the next day and you think, whoa, I have 1,000 more words. I rock. And so here's the thing I do specifically is, and I know this sounds kind of crazy and obsessive, but I know how many words I have to write, say 100,000 words for a book. And I know I have X amount of time to write it. So I actually divide the number of days into the number of words I have to write and come up with the number of words I have to write a day to be done with giving myself a month to revise. So now I know this is, how much that is for me? That's 540 words a day. Now that is doable. That is a doable thing. And I make a chart, a little grid that I do on a notebook page with pencil and ruler. I mean, this is not fancy. And I fill in my little words every day. And every time I write my 540 words, I'm like, yay, I'm a success. I did it.
Yes.
Right? And then the next day I'm like, I can do this more. I can do this. I can do my words, and I can even do more words. So if you cut this job, what you don't think, ooh, I'm writing a book. Who can do that? Like Sue Grafton, I say, get over yourself. You're writing 1,000 words a day. Anybody can do that. They can be terrible words. Sometimes I'm sitting here typing going, this is the worst thing that anybody has ever written in their entire life. And then I think, yeah, great, keep going. It's terrible. You can fix it later. So NaNoWriMo writers, just go, just get over yourself, just do it. You'll be so happy at the end of every day when you allow yourself to succeed that all you'll want to do the next day is to have that fun again. You know what I mean? It works, doesn't it?
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Get over yourself. I love it. It's not brain. It's like not brain surgery you're doing here. Okay. Get over yourself. I love it. All right. Thank you so much, Hank. I'm going to drop you from the call here in just a second, but we've got Naomi Hirahara here, and she is the author of the Mass Awry series. I can't remember, what is the name of your next book, Naomi?
Clark and Division.
Clark and Division. That's the one that I'm looking forward to a great deal. What do you have for us today?
Well, I'm in Southern California, which is Tongva land. And that's actually significant because when I was doing my rewrites, I was reading it to different groups of people. And on one Zoom group, there was actually people from the Tongva Nation. And they had like some really interesting observations of what I had written. So once you get in the rewriting phase, I would just advise to read your work to different audiences. And you might get different feedback. But anyway, today I wanted to share 2 good habits, maybe that I've actually adopted during this crazy 2020. And one habit you might want to get throw away. The first habit that I didn't do before is I have a writing buddy. And someone in the Ask Question section had asked that question, how do I find a writing buddy? And I guess NaNoWriMo has some some sections that you can partner up with someone. I'm partner up with a sister, Sarah Chen, and we are early morning people. So we do it on Twitter DMs. We do it at 8 o'clock in the morning. And but it's so helpful to us. So when we get close to 8, we start, messaging each other. How was your day? And then it gets to be like 7:59. It's like, get ready, get set, and then go. And for 25 minutes, we're just like doing our thing, either rewriting or writing. When it's over, we take our fight. We're like, stop. How did it go? And, maybe someone's written 250 pages. I mean, the pages, wow. It's magic. 250 words or else, gone through multiple pages of rewrites. And that's been really helpful. And then we, after that, we get back in for another 25 minutes. And that's all we do together. But it's kind of nice for me to do it early. So you've done something. You've done something before. You've changed your clothes, taken a shower. So you have that whole span of that whole day to do more. So maybe you've done like 500 words, and you've done like 1/3 of what you needed to do that day. So I think that's a habit that I've started to implement. Another habit is I am super messy. I'm messy. I have after a day of writing, I have all these stacks of papers. So I would suggest, and I don't always do that, but after your day of writing, put everything, in stacks, what you need to do. So when you wake up early, you're not floundering. What am I supposed to do? Okay. The last habit I think you should eliminate. And this is from my friend Linnell George's book on Octavia Butler. who was a science fiction writer who grew up in my area of Pasadena. And she left her treasure trove of diaries and journals and bus tickets and all this stuff to the Huntington Library. And so one thing she says is, fear becomes a habit to so many people who aspire, who want more, who dream. So she's basically saying, get rid of fear and self-doubt. And whatever, this is not the time for your little editor to be sitting on your shoulder saying, you can't do this. This is crap. You misspelled. You have terrible grammar. This is the time to remove that editor. No, trust in your voice and go. So good luck with your writing, everybody.
Yay. Thank you, Naomi. That's awesome. Okay, next up we have Jess Lourey, who is the author of most recently or about to come out soon, Bloodline.
Yes.
When is that out?
January 1st.
January 1st. Okay, get ready. Jess, what do you have for us today?
Well, first of all, Lori, did you organize this? Thank you.
Sisters in Crime, our committee did.
Yeah,
I'm just the one pushing buttons this morning.
Yeah, that's all impressive. Oh, thank you so much. So I have what works for me. It's got 3 parts. Part 1 is a gonzo outline. And I know there's a lot of plonsers here, so I don't want to make anybody stressed out with the word outline. What I do is I figure out my A story, which is the mystery, right? If you're writing mysteries, the A story is the mystery. And the B story, which is the transformation the character undergoes. So I get A story, I get B story, and then based on those 2, I gonzo outline 80 sentences. 80 sentences. And then if it holds up, I go to bed. And then the next day I check on it again. And that counts as my first 2 days of Nano. So that's the first thing, gonzo outlining. Second thing is, after I gonzo outline, I write 2,000 words a day. And because I've got that outline, I don't whirlpool. And whirlpooling is when you start writing and then you get off in that little whirlpool, and then you're like decorating with words. So I don't whirlpool if I gonzo outline. 2,000 words a day. And then the third thing is they have to be shitty words. I have to write really poorly. I tell myself that. And to go back to what I think it was what Hank said, when it's all said and done, you can't see the days that you're like, this was really bad versus the days that this was good. But if I give myself permission to write poorly, I have a cat sneaking up on me. So,
oh, show us the cat. Show us the cat.
That's Judy.
Judy might be my current favorite.
So I give myself permission to write poorly. So gonzo outline, 2,000 words a day, write crap. Thank you.
And thank you. Okay.
And
awesome. Okay. I am going to put out a personal PSA that if Halley Sutton is here, she should let me know by writing something in the comments. Thank you very much. Stephanie Gayle. Stephanie Gayle is the current SINC National Vice President, which means about a year from now. Yeah. She's also the author of the Thomas Lynch series, and she's working on something brand new, I believe, for NaNoWriMo, which is very exciting. Stephanie, what advice do you have for us today?
Yes, so today I have advice which Lori neatly summarized as negative reinforcement for fun and profit. And that's a bonus tip. If somebody gives you something that sounds wonderful, take it and say thank you very much. Those are words I didn't have.
Thank you very much.
It'll never get easier than that. But what does negative reinforcement for fun and profit means? Who enjoys playing games? I'm just imagining all of you are raising your hand. Who enjoys rewards? Now there's that theory about the stick and the carrot. This is kind of like a stick dressed up as a carrot. So what I often do when I am like knee deep in writing and or editing is I give myself rewards, and rewards work like this. When I finish 1,000 words of writing, I get to have a shower. When I finish 2,000 words of writing, I might get to have a cookie. And I mean, you are gamifying your life in a way that I'm talking about real basics. I'm not talking medicine, and I'm not talking food you need to live. Also, if you're responsible for other people and or pets, please do not gamify them. Take care of what you absolutely have to. But I consider showers extra. I consider if I get something in the mail and I really want to open it up, like I ordered something online, I don't get to open up that thing and enjoy it until I meet my writing goals. It might sound harsh, but it has worked for me over multiple books. And it becomes so rote and sort of like second habit that it doesn't feel like punishment. For some people, if this is too hard for you, and this is another tip, if something doesn't resonate with you, just shrug it off. That's fine. Oh, there are so many writers here, and we're all going to give you advice, and some of it will work for you and some of it won't. And that's great. Nothing's one size fit all. But if you're the sort of person who enjoys challenging yourself and who enjoys kind of making a game out of your daily routine, and you can find some sort of goals to set yourself, I really do find that like that shower after you've written your writing goal, you will never have a better shower. That shower is going to be magic. And bonus, showers are some of the places where I have some of my best breakthroughs. I don't know why that is, but sometimes when I'm stuck, a shower is what it takes to unlock it.
So take showers, but not
showers,
until you deserve them. Yes, until you deserve them. Hold that off. Awesome. Yeah. Thank you so much, Steph. I enjoy the gamification of your life. I'm not sure if I enjoy it from my life, but
that's just one way to enjoy it.
Just one day, just one way. Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. We've got Sherry Harris. Sherry Harris is another past president of Sisters in Crime and the author of, most recently, the Sea Glass Saloon series. Tell us the title. I love this title.
It's From Beer to Eternity.
From Beer to Eternity. I bought that book and the bookstore owner was like, I love this title, right? Okay. Sherry, what do you have for us today?
So I'm going to talk about when you get stuck. I don't really believe in writer's block, but I think sometimes we all get stuck. And in the early 2000s, I attended a small writers conference in Seaside, Florida. It was run by Florida International University's creative writing program. John Dufresne was one of the professors, and I know, love him. And in his class, he told us, set up a scenario. So if you got stuck. So the scenario is this husband and wife are sitting at their kitchen table. Their marriage is about over. They've been married a long time. And I took it from the woman's point of view. So he said to use the 5 senses to get unstuck. What you do is, from the woman's point of view, she can look out the window. She sees the beautiful tree that they planted together 20 years ago. She smells the scent of the cinnamon bread she's baked every week for all these years. She can hear the neighbors' music playing. She feels the solid oak chair beneath her. And her mouth feels like it's full of dryer sheets because she doesn't know what to say next. So then I remember vividly using that for the first time in my own writing. I had a character, it's dark, she's in a park, she's standing under a tree, and her feet are literally stuck in the mud, and I had nothing. And so I started using that, and she could smell the pine scent, and she could hear the traffic outside of the park, and she felt the bark of the tree against her shoulder. And you write all that, and most of it you're just going to toss out at some point, but you'll find little nuggets that you can use from that. And it got my character moving forward again. And I also highly recommend John Dufresne's writing book, A Lie That Tells the Truth. It's been great. So
I love that book too.
Yeah, it's a great writing book. And also, before I forget, I looked up Padawan, Cherokee, and Monacan natives lived in Northern Virginia where I live. Good luck with NaNoWriMo, everybody.
Yay. Thank you so much, Sherry.
That's
awesome. Okay, so now we have Deanna Fowler. Now, Deanna and I go way back. Deanna, did we meet in a class that I was teaching? Is that where we met? Do you know?
We met at, I think, a Mystery Writers of America, maybe like a write-in or something.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So she's also a Sisters in Crime member in Chicago. Obviously, that's how we know each other, and is working on her first novel. Now, Deanna, are you working on your first novel during NaNoWriMo? Is that the plan?
I'm going to be editing. So I don't know how this works because I've never finished editing a book. So it's hard to set goals the way that it would be to set a word count goal. But I'm going to try to get 50,000 words edited which basically means rewriting them.
That sounds like a great goal. So what do you have for us today?
So what I found in writing the first draft, and this is the first draft of a book I actually intend to publish, I guess. I've definitely written a lot of other garbage, but
same.
So I found it doing like the first draft of this book, the thing that I got stuck on was when I got kind of writer's block or got loss of momentum, was when I wasn't authentic to the character. So I reached a point where a character has to make a choice, and I chose something that was either maybe what I would do in that situation, or maybe, I'm writing action thriller, so maybe what would look really cool if it was shot in a movie, but not necessarily what was authentic for the character. So my advice would be definitely turn off that internal editor most of the time, but keep a little editor on in the back of your head, paying attention to the character's motivations. Your antagonist, your protagonist, any of the allies or obstacles, the characters who are creating obstacles, and keep in the back of your head, what is their motivation just generally in the book? And then, as you develop the story, you don't have to plot it all out, but as you develop it and you get to a scene, as you start to write the scene, keep in mind, what do the characters in the scene want, and how are those things maybe working together or working against each other? So you don't get stuck in what I have done, which is you create something and then 20,000 words later, you realize I've just created this whole scenario that is not authentic because I have one choice and I made the wrong decision. And then I had obstacles that came in, and then, later because of that, and then resolutions because of those. And then I just kept going until I realized this whole thing just is not working. So Chuck Wendig's advice from his book, Damn Fine Story, is keep sticky notes. And it doesn't have to be a lot. You don't have to plot this all out, but if you keep a couple of sticky notes or, wherever you keep your notes, to just keep in mind just bullet points of motivation, or maybe even like your character's values, and maybe a couple bullet points about their identity, what would impact their decision making. And so you always have that top of mind.
That is fantastic advice. You're a prodigy, I think, maybe. I think I need to learn that, actually. Thank you very much, Deanna. Okay, next up we have Elizabeth Little, who is the author of most recently Pretty as a Picture. Liz, what should we be thinking about today?
Hi, Lori. It's so nice to be here. Nice to see you. I'm wishing I wore foundation, though. I'm like, oh, God.
You look like a sassy librarian. You're cool.
Well, that's on brand, so here we are. So the thing I want to yes, I'm talking to people now. The thing I want to talk about today is how we're going to get through this month producing when we're not able to be at our computers all the time. I love the idea of putting your butt in the seat and getting to your computer, but the reality is for a lot of us, we have jobs, we have kids, we have relatives to take care of, errands to run, our one sad, depressing, anxiety walk around the block that we do. And we need to have ways, because the way our brains work, we're going to come up with great ideas during those times. When we're distracted sometimes is when we have our real breakthroughs. And so I want everyone to be prepared to be able to capture those amazing ideas when they're away from their computer. So here are a few things that I either use or I have heard other writers use that are good to look into. First of all, obviously, oh no, my cat just is meowing at the door. I'm sorry. He hears me talking and he's like,
we can't hear him. Okay, let him in. We want to see the cat.
Okay, he's coming in. He's coming. Sorry, guys. So the first thing that you want to think about is we all have our phones with us almost all the time. So what is an app on your phone that you can use to jot down notes? Mm-hmm. Obviously, you can use Apple Notes. If you have an iPhone, you can use Google Keep. More complicated, tag your notes and sort of go back and refer to them. If that's the kind of thinker you are, you might want to look into something like Evernote or Bear. The point is to reduce friction, right? To make it as easy as possible to just kind of vomit out that little beautiful thought you had while in the grocery line and preserve it. So once you're back at your computer, you can look at that and actually pull that into your work. Yeah, I see you.
You shouldn't use the word vomit when your cat just entered the room. That's all.
I know. Okay.
There he is.
Kitty, this is Alfie. Also, obviously, just good old-fashioned analog notepad and paper is a great idea. Stick a notepad in your purse. Stick a notepad in your backpack. Keep little notepads all over the house because you don't want to have to stop what you're doing. Go to another room, find your pencil, find your paper, and write it down. Again, but make sure you always have a way to capture your brilliance, right? Because like, what if you have the perfect solution to your plot? You don't want to like lose that and forget about it. And especially right now when we're just so overwhelmed with anxiety and uncertainty. And I think all of our attention spans are kind of shot at the moment. Another great idea is that Post-it makes whiteboard dry erase stick-on sheets that you can just slap to your wall.
Oh.
And then you can keep a dry erase marker around and just like scrawl stuff as you're like walking through the kitchen. A friend of mine keeps a dry erase board in her shower because she always gets the best ideas in the shower. And I heard Steph say that earlier.
Yeah.
And so again, it's just about setting yourself up for success as much as possible. But it also kind of makes it fun, right? It's like you're leaving little notes to yourself. And sometimes I enjoy going back and being like, what was past Elizabeth thinking? I don't know.
What does that even mean?
And
Past
the one of
Elizabeth?
it, what does that mean? Past Elizabeth is an asshole, by the way. She is so mean to me.
Oh.
But and the other thing I want to bring up that writers who have hands that don't have, you know, sort of any physical challenges don't often think of, but voice capture is another thing you can do. Yeah. Not all of us have hands that can make it through the whole day. And especially like handwriting can be very cramped and very tricky. So actually like taking notes isn't great for everyone, but that's why we have, you can do voice memos on your phone. You can ask Siri to leave you a note. You can say, Siri, remind me to put in this perfect plot point. You can also use Alexa. I hope I didn't trigger at anyone's houses right now. And if you're in your car, you can do the same thing. So sometimes in normal times in Los Angeles, where I spend most of my time in my car, I can use hands-free to have Siri take down notes for me on plot points. So again, this is just about sort of freeing you up. You might find a lot of reasons to be away from your computer because you have to be, because you want to be. But this still lets your brain constantly kind of churn away at your really, you know, your beautiful world that you're creating. And so you'll be able to capture everything and get it into your draft at the end of the month.
I love that. Also, we have about 15 comments of people saying, Siri, finish my book. So you've given us all the best tip of all time.
Out there.
Thank you so much, Liz.
Thank you.
I miss you. Bye. Miss you too. Okay, next we have Judy Clemens. Now, Judy is another past president of Sisters in Crime and the author of many things, but the Grim Reaper series is, I think, one of her most recent additions. Judy, what do you have for us today?
All right. First off, I live in Northern Ohio, and this is the land of the Ottawa and Shawnee peoples here. And I thank Sandra for reminding us to think about that today. So I'm here to talk about when you do get stuck, sometimes you just don't know where to go forward with these people that are in your head, what they're thinking. So I'm going to talk a little bit about doing character studies, and they can be part of your word count. It might not be stuff that goes directly into a finished product, but there could be stuff that you use that you don't expect to. One of the books that I like is this. It's called The Plot Whisperer Workbook by Martha Alderson. She has great ways to think about your character, helps you get thinking about to think about their traits, their skills, fears, desires, flaws, the goals they have. And you can just sit down and write these things. And like I said, that'll go to your word count. So you can write these things you're thinking about. So you can compare what are they like at the beginning of my story and what do I want them to be like at the end? What do they want before the story starts and what might they want at the end? You could write little stories about them that could be deep background, or maybe they'll fit into your book somewhere. And it doesn't have to just be your protagonist. It can be your antagonist that you do this with. It can be secondary characters that you can think about, okay, what lesson does this character, what are they learning that reflects what my protagonist is going to need to learn by the end of the story? So it's looking at these characters that you have and figuring out more who they are and what they're thinking and what they can bring to your story. And I also want to encourage you, Nano really is something that you can use in your professional career. I mean, several of my projects that I've worked on during Nano have gone on to be published as part of my series or whatever. I've worked on brand new things, and I've also completed things that I'd started before. You know, like many people have said, this is for you. This is for you to work on what you need right now. So I hope that's helpful, and good luck. And it's great to see everybody here. Thanks, Lourey.
Thank you so much, Judy. Okay, next up we have Cynthia Kuhn. Now, Cynthia is a brand new board member of Sisters in Crime National. She's also the author of the Lila McLean Academic Mystery Series. Cynthia, when you came on screen, you look like a little bit like a supervillain. You got some really good shading going on there. I'm really enjoying it.
It looks like my skin is made of bubbles. I don't know what's happening.
You got some, I don't know, just some real interesting lighting going on there, but evil, I think.
Well, you're in my lair, so
yes.
Is being revealed, I guess. I don't know.
Awesome. So what do you have for us today?
Thanks so much. Hi, everybody, and welcome to Nano Month. I'm an English professor, so I feel like such a nerd right now, but I had little things to show you. My topic is writing fast, and this is just a visual reminder that when you're in the writing process, there's typically like 4 phases that you circle through: planning, drafting, revising, and editing. But in Nano, it's really just this one. Once you hit November 1st, that's it. That's all that you want to focus on. And I made a little acronym too for writing fast that we're going to go through these right now real quick. But free, write, advance, stay and save, and then time and trust. And so here is what this means. Keeping in mind that y'all already know how to write fast, which is basically put your fingers on the keyboard and pound, joyful keyboard pounding as fast as you can. This is not that. This is about attitude and sort of things that you can do to keep yourself in a good mind space. First of all, F is for free write, which means that you write whatever comes into your mind. You're basically telling yourself your story. E.M. Forster once said, "How do I know what I think until I see what I say?" And I think that that's a really wonderful thing to keep in your mind for Nano. When you free write, you do not pause. You don't pause to plan or think about what you're going to say next. And if that means you're writing, I don't know what to say next for a while, you can do that. And one way to sort of pop yourself out of that space is to say, begin a sentence with the word maybe. Maybe I do this, because that throws you into speculative mode. But no matter what, just keep writing. All the words count. No one's going to come back at the end of Nano and check and see what you wrote. This is just for you. It's your draft. A is for advance. That means don't go backwards for any reason. If you spell a word wrong, leave it. And I know it's going to drive you crazy, but if you can do that, leave it there, because at the end of November, you can go back and change everything that you want to. Always try to advance. S is for stay and save. By stay, I mean stay in the creative mode. Creation and evaluation are at the opposite ends of the spectrum. So if you can do this, whenever you hear that voice come up, and other people have said this too already, if you hear that, oh my gosh, this is the worst, most terrible thing I've ever written, then you just try to say, okay, and push that evaluation off until later. Try to just be creating and just live in that space. And then T is for time and trust. So time it is to basically sprint like the wind. Set your timer for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is that works for you, and write as fast as you can, because you know that at the end of that time, you'll get to take a break. And there's something sort of glorious about freely writing as fast as your body can do it. The goal is to get ahead of your conscious mind. Things will happen that you do not expect to happen. It is like magic. And I know that everyone loves magic. So do allow yourself to have that openness. And trust stands for just basically trusting this process, that if you say it, more will come. that if you say anything, you will start to get more ideas because your subconscious goes to work on it. So if you are in the shower, or you are walking your dog, or whatever it is that you're doing, your subconscious mind is always working in the background, whether or not you're sort of aware of it. And it's this beautiful quirk of the mind that we are lucky to have. So so those are my tips. Write fast.
Bravo. I mean, on the PowerPoint that is not a PowerPoint. Amazing.
It's such a teacher thing.
I love it.
Thanks, everybody. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. Okay, up next we have Mia Manansala. Now, Mia is a local chapter board member and also a Sisters in Crime national. I'm losing track of all the jobs you have, Mia. Is a volunteer for the National Board of Sisters in Crime. Very busy girl. And is the author of Arsenic and Adobo, which is her debut and comes out in 2021. We're all really excited about Mia's debut. So Mia, what do you want to tell us today?
All right, thanks, Lori. So piggybacking off of Cynthia's excellent advice, I'm kind of focusing on like the free writing aspect. So I consider myself a hardcore plantser, and I'm much more in the plotting side, thanks to my girl, Kellye Garrett, the mentor, the plotting queen. I could not get away from it. But I found that like, even when I do the work, even when I have the outline there are still times that I get stuck, right? Because knowing what has to happen in the scene doesn't necessarily mean I know how it's happening. So that's when I do something I like to call story scribbles. And it's basically me talking to myself in a Word document, right? It's thinking through my fingers. And I will happen in this scene. I know she is going to a lunch with this one suspect. What does she need to find out? And I will just keep talking to myself, type, and I won't stop. I'll say maybe, like Cynthia said, the word maybe. Maybe this person shows up. Maybe they say this one thing, and I'll just keep on going. And then eventually, the more maybes I churn out, like you kind of instinctually know where it's going to go, and it'll sort of dialogue. And then once the maybes turn into dialogue or actual scenes, that's what I know what I need to stop there and then open up my other document and start plugging it in there. So it's like a really great way to not just sit there and stare at a blank page for like an hour, wondering why this perfect scene is not coming out. If you write longhand, you can do it in a notebook, but my writing's atrocious. So it takes me too long. So the connection between my brain and the free thinking doesn't ever really hit. So again, give it a shot. Talk to yourself.
Yay.
And then you kind of like figure it out.
I like the idea of talking to yourself. It's something that we should feel free to do, especially now that we're not writing in coffee shops, right? Like, who's going to stop us?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going to think we're crazy?
Yeah, and I have an example of it on my Instagram because I'm using this nano to work on book 2 in my series. And so for anyone who wants an example of me, I literally start, okay, what happens? You can see an example on my Instagram at MPM the writer.
Very cool. Thank you so much, Mia. Good luck with your NaNoWriMo. Shameless. And we wouldn't have it any other way. All right, next up we have Kellye Garrett. Kellye Garrett is a Sisters in Crime National Board member and the author of the Detective by Day series. And then you're also finishing up the draft of what comes after.
Yes.
Now, Like a Sister, is that what the title?
It's called Like a Sister. I'm trying to be like Lori Rader-Day, basically. That's like my comp. Lori's my comp, guys. Aim high. Actually, I do story scribbles too, but I do it in a notebook, even though I can't read my handwriting, so that's always fun. I should probably type it out. But as Mia mentioned, I'm a super plotter. Like, I'm super into plot. Like, the blank page scares me. So the idea of just like writing 50,000 words a day is not a day, a month scares me, because like writing 1,000 words a day scares me. So I try to take things in smaller chunks. Instead of looking at the 50,000. It's like, okay, this scene or this or that, or, you know, this many words, this chapter. And so in terms of plotting my book, one thing I like to do is I divide it into 3 acts, and I divide each act into chunks of like an investigative focus for each act. And I put it in questions. So like for Hollywood Homicide, the story is about a woman who is an amateur detective who drives past a hit and run and is so broke she wants to try to get some information about this hit and run to get some reward money. And so she figures because she drove past the hit and run, she probably saw the car that hit the person. So my focus for Act 1 of Hollywood Homicide is if I can figure out the car, then I can figure out who killed this person. But of course, if that would only be like a 100-page book. So the question gets answered, the focus is answered in that end of the act, but it leads to a new focus. So in Hollywood Homicide, she finds the car, but she realizes that the person who owns the car wasn't driving it. It was actually stolen. So now she's trying to figure out who stole the car. So for me, that helps me because it's smaller sections. And I think it also kind of helps keep the story fresh because she's looking at different things each 100 pages or so.
I love that. I'm going to implement it.
Please, everyone.
I'm going to steal that right off the back of Kellye Garrett. That's what I'm going to do. Thank you so much, Kellye.
Bye, guys.
Okay, so we've got Denise Ganley. I should have asked you. Ganley. Okay. Denise is she's a chapter president or leader. Are you still the president? Okay.
Yeah,
Desert
just for a couple
Sleuths.
more months.
Well, that's how it works, right? But thank
Yeah.
you for your service. That's very important, local leadership. And she's working on her first novel. Are you working on your first novel during this Nano, or are you working on a different project?
I'm working on my second full draft on this Nano. I used Nano to write my other one, my first one, in 2 different ways. So
awesome.
Yeah. In 2012, actually, is when I started my first one. And I wrote 13,859 words in just one day, that last day of Camp Nano. And it was a total act of desperation. It was the very last day. And that's kind of what I'm here to talk about.
Yeah.
5 days in and I was not meeting my goals. And then I had a couple of days where I didn't write anything at all. Obviously not the way you want to do Nano. You really want to be writing every day and trying to hit those targets every day to stay up to date. But if you have to do a marathoning day, here's a couple of things that I did to make it work. So that last day, I made sure I got plenty of sleep the night before so I could get up at 6 a.m. and just go and go and go until I finished, or until just before midnight when you have to turn in your word count.
Mm-hmm.
I took several short breaks during the day, and I made sure all of my snacks, my water, my iced chai, all were in my workspace. That way I could just grab things when I needed them and not have to get up and go. Because if I got up, I was going to get distracted by something and waste time. And that said, you still need to stretch regularly, so you want to make sure you do that. But I also had a few comfortable spaces that I was writing in all month long, and so I kind of built those up. I had a makeshift standing station at my kitchen. I had my regular desk chair and office chair, and then I had a recliner that I used as a lap desk, and it had like an ergonomic thing. So you really have to make sure that you can move your body in different positions and maybe move around a lot. That said, I know people use treadmill desks these days and use dictation a lot, so that would be something to investigate. Word 365 has a dictation option. So if you want to lay down and talk to your laptop, or if you need to walk, you can use that. I did paste in the Q&A a way to do makeshift ergonomic setup. So it's just like how to use a towel or pillows or whatever to kind of move your environment to meet what you're needing. Also, turn off your Wi-Fi before you start writing on your computer. Literally turn it off. Disconnect it somehow, so if you accidentally go on automatic, you're not going to get to where you wanted to go, and then you go, oh yeah, I turned it off for a reason, and that means I need to write. So do that 100%. It works every time. It's not the time for research. Make a little a bracket, XXX in another bracket, and keep going, and you really don't have the time for it, so just keep going. Have your musical playlist ready to go. I had several different mood types for whatever, if I needed something with words, if I needed something for the feel of the actual story I was writing, or if I just needed white noise. I just was prepared and I had them all ready to go so I could just hit play and not have to spend, well, I want to listen to this. Well, maybe I'm in the mood for this. No, just pick something to listen to. But marathon writing days are like a mixed blessing. This one really taught me what I was capable of. It gave me a great sense of confidence. And it helped me wind down at the very, very last second. It was like after 11 p.m. when I hit end. I'm a slow writer, but I did it. But it also burnt me out. I could not write for 2-3 months afterwards. So use them wisely and try to stay on target as much as you can and don't give up. I think if anything, this showed me do not give up, because I made it at the very, very last.
Skin of your teeth is still making it, right? Still
Exactly. Exactly.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Denise. That was, I don't know if I could do the most I've ever done is about 5,000, but that was like, I had to commit to like the whole day. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next up we have Tracee de Hahn. Tracee is a Sisters in Crime National Board member right now, and she is the author of the Agnes Lutti series. Am I saying that right? There was an umlaut in there, and I was a little scared of it.
Close enough. Lutti.
Lutti. Okay. What do you want to tell us about today, Tracee?
Well, actually, I'm going to springboard off of what Denise was just talking about. And she was talking about preparing for that, big day, the day she knew was going to be the make or break day. But I think if we take some of her points and try to use them every day, or even every time you write, some people find a bit of time in the morning, a bit of time in the evening. Well, that's your writing sequence. And so that's why this is called kind of end the day, start the day. What you do when you end your day is your springboard. So let's say you've had a great day. Maybe you stop a little bit before you reach the absolute end and you spend that last couple of minutes and you say, what do I do next? And if you're working on, writing adjacent, if you're doing your research and collecting materials, spend a few minutes at the end of your writing time and decide, what am I going to do tomorrow? Because I think sometimes we get into the momentum and we're having that best day ever. And maybe we're running up against we have to go to bed, we have to do things with the kids, whatever your schedule says. Don't just kind of blow through it and then start the next morning and say, well, where was I? Where am I supposed to be? And so that last bit of prep, it's like setting your clothes out for school the next day. No matter where if you're a plotter, look at your plot and say, am I going to write the next scene or am I going to jump ahead because I'm so enthusiastic? If you're a pantser, you're like, man, I am just going. And I've got this great idea what's going to happen next. Write it down. Maybe that line of dialogue, maybe the scene, maybe the motivation for the scene. And then walk away because you're ready for the next day. Same thing with research. No matter what you're doing, start the next day well because you finished the day before saying, I know what I'm going to do. So that's it for me. It's been great to see everybody across the world, across the nation. So good luck.
Not a bad place, not a bad way to get started, right?
That's right.
And Tracee was on the committee for our NaNoWriMo efforts and worked specifically with me. So thank you, Tracee, for all your help.
You're welcome.
Okay. Next up, we have Alex Segura. Alex is a Sisters in Crime member in New York and author of the Pete Fernandez PI series, and also your latest book, which I have a copy of. Yes. I have a copy of. I don't know who that guy is. I don't know anything about the wars in the stars.
Star Trek,
yeah, Star Trek, yeah. But I bought a copy and I'm going to read it. So,
thank you,
Alex. What would you like to tell us about today?
Well, first, I want to say thanks for having me. This is so cool, and it's a great resource for hopefully everybody that's attending. I'm going to talk about avoiding distractions, which is very hard. And the best piece of advice, and I say this as someone who has 2 small children, who has a full-time job, has written about a novel a year for a good run of time, and works on other stuff. That's not a brag. It's just the work. And so I think the big challenge is avoiding distraction. And the way to do that is to kind of minimize the ceremony. Just one way you can kind of check is how many steps do you need to take before you're actually sitting in the chair and typing words on the computer. So I think any parent can attest to this. You don't have those big swaths of time where you can sit and write for 2-3 hours. Like when I was single and had no children, I could sit in my computer and kind of crank and write 2 novels in a year, and it was fine. Now it's much more about pockets of time. Okay, the baby's napping. I have 15 minutes. Let me write. The kids are asleep. That gives me about an hour and a half. Let me write. So I don't do the stuff where I need music playing, or I need the sunlight coming through my window in a certain way, or I need to be having a certain kind of food or a certain kind of tea. And I love people that have that option, that you can do that. But if you want to just get to the writing, like, make it as easy as possible. I never close my novel file in Word. This sounds crazy. I just leave it open. So the second I open my laptop, the first thing that's looking at me is my computer. And, I know we talk about writer's block. I don't mean to, disparage anyone that believes in writer's block, but some of us can't afford to believe in writer's block. So if I'm feeling jammed up, I do things that get me out of the typing and out of the process, but keep me thinking. So something tactile, like washing the dishes, or, taking a walk, like experiencing or doing something basic. Like, we talked about showers earlier. Yeah, take a shower, just get your mind out of the work, but give your brain the opportunity to think about the work and kind of breathe a little bit. And even doing something mundane like cleaning, or anything that can just separate you from the process. One last thing that I heard Attica Locke say at the Virginia Festival of the Book a couple years ago was, just because you don't write 1,000 words a day doesn't mean you're not a writer. We talked about writing adjacent things. Those are super important. Those are also very easy to fall into and kind of pretend you're writing. You're your ultimate gut check. When you're not writing, when you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So just be mindful of those things. Like, it's great to answer publicity emails. It's great to do social media marketing and all that stuff. If you're not writing and you could be writing, you're the ultimate judge of that. So, minimize the journey to the keyboard. That's the best advice I can give you. So,
okay, I have one follow-up question to you, Alex.
Yes.
Leaving your document open all the time, you do also back that up, though, right?
I have a file for every day, so I just rename the file as well. Yeah, don't listen to my technological advice, but yeah, make it
leaving it open all the time makes you really nervous for you. But you're also back.
Don't save your file. No, I'm kidding.
No, it's fine. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much,
Thank
Alex.
you.
Thanks for joining us. Okay. Next up, we have Vanessa Lillie. Vanessa was the founding Sisters in Crime National Board member who said, I think we should probably do something with NaNoWriMo. What if we did something with NaNoWriMo? So thank Vanessa for all of this. She's also the author of a very new book called For the Best, her second novel. Right there, Vanessa. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, actually, my first book, and the reason why I'm such a nano pusher, is because this is a NaNoWriMo debut novel. Cool. And so this contest is really big for me. And that is because Nano, when I did it, made me change the way I had been writing for 10 years because it wasn't working for me. And what's cool about Nano is I am pretty sure writing 1,000 words a day for a month is, or actually, no, 1,666 words or whatever number you choose is not your normal process. So that means that we're all kind of uncomfortable. And that being uncomfortable, I have found for me, is the gateway to a theory that I love by Stephen Pressfield and his book, The War of Art. And in it is the term resistance. And he says that all creative people have the resistance, which is our own evolutionary instinct that when you start to rise your head above, which creating does, your body will start making excuses, will start looking for reasons to organize your sweaters, to rewatch Real Housewives. I'm taking all of these firsthand with me personally. There are things that our brain tricks us into doing, saying conditions aren't perfect. So I just want to encourage everyone to fight resistance, because we're all going to be really prone to it because we're uncomfortable. We're doing something we don't normally do. And in that discomfort, keep trying new things. So SinC has writing sprints. If you've never done a writing sprint, don't miss this opportunity. I have written thousands of words through writing sprints, and you wouldn't think with 20 minutes you could do as much as you can, but you really can, or 30 minutes. And it's not just SinC. National Novel Writing is having sprints. If you just search for writing sprints on the thread of Twitter, you're going to find somebody to sprint with. And, look for write-ins. look for opportunities, writing buddies, go on some forums, make some friends. Definitely look at this as an opportunity to just try new things, see what works for you, and then, you know, who knows what comes of it. And one last quick shout out, please check out our Sync Facebook group. There are 458 people in it right now, which is incredible. Is that right? Yeah. And and it's just a community of support waiting for you. So make sure you jump over to Facebook, join us. There's calendars, there's write-ins, there's chats with authors coming up. So this is the time to try new things and fight the resistance.
Fight the resistance. I love it. Awesome. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Okay, we have Amina Akhtar, who is going to talk about writing through pain, which I need to hear so much right now. So Amina is a Sync member in Arizona, I think.
Yes.
And the author of Fashion Victim, which sounds amazing. And also, can I just say that your hair looks glorious?
Thank you. I did it just for you guys.
Thank you.
It looked nice. Yeah, so I have chronic migraines. And so if you follow me on Twitter, you know that there are days when I just don't get out of bed. And half my week is often spent down. And I also have a sprained hand right now. So, you know, it's making writing really, really fun. But at the same time, I want to use Nano to get the draft of my third book done. So the way I do Nano is, and this is for anyone who might have chronic illness, might have an injury, might have, I don't know, just can't deal with this year anymore. You know, you need your time to just wallow. Set realistic goals. I don't do daily word counts. I do weekly so that I can factor in, you know, 2 or 3 days when I'm in bed, not doing anything. And that way I don't get like upset that I don't make it. Number 2 is really important. Don't compare yourself to everybody else. So somebody's going to be on Twitter talking about they did 5,000 words today and you got 200. You know what? Those were 200 words you didn't have yesterday. So that's awesome. But do not compare yourself. It's like, it'll just do you in. The third thing is, which kind of goes with number 2, is don't beat yourself up. Do what you can do. You're dealing with, sorry, my connection is a little crazy because I'm in the mountains. You're dealing with, you know, something other people aren't. And what I've learned to do is kind of make my migraines part of my process in that when I'm like in bed and down and completely stoned off my butt from the migraine drugs, my back brain comes on. That's what Caroline Kepnes calls it. It's like when you're not consciously thinking of something and all of a sudden a line will come into your head, or that one, you know, plot point you haven't figured out jumps in. And that happens a lot to me when I'm down and not looking at my computer. So there are ways to use, you know, the cards that you're dealt to get something done. You know, I'm not expecting to finish my draft this entire month, but I'm hoping to get, you know, a good 30,000 words in, you know, so that it's closer. And I think that's kind of the way to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been encouraging people to set their own goals. You don't have to. Oh, there's
attention.
There's Beanie. Oh, Beanie.
Since everyone's got their cats, I got my little writing buddy here.
We need to see the cats and the dogs. We need it. Mine is she's stopped at least trying to ram the door open. So thank you so much, Amina. It was really great to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Everyone.
Okay. And look who we have here, Sara Paretsky, with your RBG collar. You look amazing. How could you be any cooler? I don't think so.
No, absolutely not. When people want to know the definition of cool, they come to me.
I mean, I think so. I do. So just very briefly.
I always have to show off my non-Hank footwear to be my spots.
Well, I think Hank probably had her soft footwear on today as well. She didn't show us, but I suspect she did. So just briefly, we all know Sara Paretsky, but Sara Paretsky is a past president of Sisters in Crime. She's the founder of Sisters in Crime. We all owe her a huge debt. She's also still writing amazing novels. V.I. Wachowski, the latest one is called Deadland. And you're working on, I think, is it number 21?
Wow.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing. Sara, what would you like to tell us today?
You know, in a way, Amina said most of what I was planning on saying, but I'll say it again anyway because it doesn't hurt to hear it twice. You know, we all face distractions in our lives and in our work, and some are avoidable and some are unavoidable. Elizabeth Little talked about the unavoidable ones. I wrote my first 3 books when I was working full-time as a marketing manager for an insurance company. And I was tutoring and I was running a house with my 3 stepsons who were teenagers in it, and volunteering. And then my body gave out. It said, "You are just insane." And I was laid up for about 6 months, and I had to choose. And I had to choose the things that I could do. I had to stop volunteering as much as I was. And I wasn't sure about putting all my eggs in my writing basket. I wasn't well known. My books didn't make much money, but that's what I did. And I will say that even now, many years later, I still miss the distractions because they kept me focused on my writing in the time that I was able to give to my writing. Marilyn French once said, "You can have it all, just not all at the same time." And that's a hard lesson to learn. The distractions that the mind and one's personal temperament throw up are much harder to overcome. Some years ago, I read an interview with an art therapist who said that people treat their artwork in the way they were treated as children by the significant adults in their lives. And that is true for me. Yesterday, I read a review of a new biography of Timothy Findley, who was filled with terrible self-loathing. It came through in how he treated his work. He wrote in his journals the most excoriating condemnations of his own writing. And that language mirrors the language of the letters that his father wrote to him. And I have that problem as well. It's what Annie Lamott calls radio station K fucked. Turning off that radio, which broadcasts all of the negative voices of your childhood in a constant stream into your head, that is the hardest job I face. And for some of you, that may also be a hard job, and it may make it much harder to set daily goals, meet daily goals, and feel good about yourself in the process. What gets me through it is not something magical. It's just knowing that Lamott and Timothy Findley and a host of other writers and artists are all tuned to the same station. It's good to know you're not unique. It's good to see that other people continue to work despite that radio station. And it's not maybe the most helpful, hopeful advice, but it keeps me going. I think it's important to cut yourself some slack. And that's one of the things that Amina was saying that I totally agree with. If you don't meet a word count goal, if you don't write 5,000 words in November, you are not therefore a failure, a hack, or an incompetent person who can't measure up to what everyone else is doing. You're a human being. You're caught in a web of duties and needs, and you are living like all of us through an utterly impossible time. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you so much. I said thank you so much for joining us. That was amazing.
Well, yeah, as someone who is on page 90 of a new book that I've been working on since last December, and I'm on page 90 for the 6th time, slack cutting is something that I'm trying to really master.
I'm glad to hear that we can be on our 21st book. And I mean, I think it makes a difference to hear someone who's on her 21st, or it's actually her 21st book, her 21st VI novel, and still having these issues. I think it makes people who are beginning feel a little bit, part of the sisterhood, part of the fraternity. It's just how the work is. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
And thanks, Vanessa, for pulling us all together today.
Okay, I'm going to let you go, Sarah. Back to the audience. Thank you. And we have now VM Valerie Burns, who is a Sisters in Crime, a brand new member of Sisters in Crime National, and also the author of several series. But I think you have a recent one coming out or maybe it just came out, the Mystery Bookshop series, which sounds amazing. What would you like to talk about today?
Hi, I'm going to talk about, well, first, I am here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and that was the home of the Chickamauga Cherokee. So also I am from South Bend, Indiana, which is the home of the Potawatomi. So not very far from where you are, Lori. I want to talk about writing, finding time to write while you're busy. And we've all gotten a lot of advice about that. I don't know anybody who will say they have way too much time on their hands. I don't care what you're doing or who you are, but most of us are busy. And the best advice I got was when I attended a 7 Habits class many years ago. And it was when you were promoted to manager at this company, you were required to attend this course. And if you've never seen the Covey rock demonstration video, Google it, because it's really, really impactful. At least it was for me. And what you see is there's a large container that's filled with little rocks and big rocks. And there's tons of rocks in that container. And at the start of this course that I went to, they asked us, what is the most important thing to you? What do you value? And most of us said things like faith, family, health, exercise, whatever it was. And then later on, we got into our planner. And we started planning out our day, and they asked us, how are you spending your time? And invariably, everybody was spending the least amount of time doing the things that they said were most important to them. And so the big rocks in the container represent the things that are most important to you. And the little rocks represented things that we still had to do. They may not be the most earth-shattering important things in our lives, but going to the grocery store is still important, or putting gas in your car. So there's still things you have to do. And what we learned from the demonstration, and if you watch the video, is that everything will fit as long as you make time for the big rocks first. So if writing is important, make time for it, schedule time. Even if it's just a little bit of time, you're going to finish your book, you're going to finish Nano, you're going to finish this project the same way you eat an elephant, one bite at a time. And you're just going to need to do it a little bit at a time, one page at a time, 500 words, 1,000 words, 1667, whatever that word count is. And we just need to look at it as this is important, so we're going to make time. And you heard examples earlier of things that work for people, whether it's if you're that person that can get up at 4 or 5 in the morning, bless you, that is not my reality. So for me, I found I multitask at lunch. I could eat and I could write. Also, at the end of the day, when my dogs were in bed, I could write. Instead of playing computer games for an hour before I went to sleep, I used that time for writing. So it is figuring out what works for you, but scheduling that time, because writing is important. And so we just need to make time for it. And it doesn't have to be a huge 8-hour block of time. It can be little bitty bits and segments. We all have the same 24-hour block of time. And it's what you do in that 24 hours that will help you achieve that goal. So that's all I got. Good luck.
Awesome. And as Julie pointed out in the chat, I said that you were a brand new member of the SINC National Board, but you were a volunteer. You're a volunteer program coordinator for us for a year. And that is also service we appreciate. So thank you very much, Valerie.
You're welcome. I enjoy it.
Okay. And next we have Rebecca Muth. Now, Becky Muth, R.A. Muth, is a Sisters in Crime member in West Virginia and also author of many books, I think, short stories, and maybe has a new book out called The Deadly Dust Bunnies.
Yes. Book 1 is The Squeaky Clean Skeleton.
Awesome.
It's the haunted housekeeping series, and the whole thing is they have a housekeeping business, but they hate cleaning houses. So they're trying other things. So
Nice.
every book they try something different. My husband was so happy that he got me a skeleton that looks like the one on the front of the book. So he's like
skeleton and
one of my
turban. I love
biggest
it.
fan. So
What
it's
advice
great.
do you have for today?
My advice is to be a nano rebel. Nano rebels are ones who do not do the 1,667 words every day. 10 days or like 10 days or so ago, we sold our house in West Virginia, being rebels, and we moved to South Carolina without a place to live. So we're in like this gorgeous beach house because we did buy a house last week, and so until it closes, we're in this gorgeous beach house. And my only thing was like, oh man, I can still do NaNoWriMo because we're here until after the first week of December. So, but NaNoWriMo, they support rebels and novelists alike. And there are some traditional novelists who are like, you can't be a rebel, but you can. NaNoWriMo supports that. And it might be someone who's writing 500 words a day. Maybe they're only writing a novella. Maybe they're writing poetry. Maybe they're a script writer. Maybe they're using it to edit a project and they want to edit 1,667 words a day. Whatever it takes. My doctor back in West Virginia, we were talking about health things, and she said it only takes 30 days to develop a habit. And it can be a lifelong habit, but it only takes 30 days to start. And so for me, that translated to, if I want a daily writing habit, I just have to do it 30 days. And NaNoWriMo, for anyone else looking to do that, that's a perfect opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Becky. And Becky has been helping us out on the NaNoWriMo social media. So thank you so much for helping us out with Facebook. Becky is a Facebook maniac. We really appreciate your assistance.
It's my day job. So
well, thanks for sharing a little bit of that expertise with us. We appreciate it. I think I just cut her off. Sorry, Becky. Okay. Next up, we have Catriona McPherson. Catriona is another past president of Sisters in Crime National and the author of, I was trying to figure out which of your books was the most recent, and I landed on Strangers at the Gate, but I'm not sure that that's true. Do you have another book that's more recent than that?
Here in America?
You're in America.
I'm in America. I look so sparky at 9 o'clock and I've been sitting here listening and now I look like a sat on pie. Never mind. I'm going to take these off now because
honey, your microphone is in your headphones. Put those back on. Hello. Why is it not working? Okay, hold on. You're muted. How did you do that? Oh, there you go. Catriona, okay, I'm going to drop you and then bring you back in, okay? So you just hang on. I'll pick you back up in a second. Julie, do you want to start to give some advice? And then I need to pick up a couple of people to do theirs, but if you want to give
Sure. Thank you so much for having me here. And I've been so inspired listening to everybody. I'm going to be working on my, I re-signed up for Nano and I did it years ago and I've never won. So I'm determined and I'm working on the 5th book in my series right now. But some of the things that I just want to pick up is to remind people to join the Facebook group. And on Twitter, we're going to be doing sprints. So follow Sync National on Twitter, and then you're going to find out the times of sprints, and we're going to be able to move forward with that. In Facebook, we got some write-ins. We're doing 2 a week where somebody will go live and give you some inspiration, and then we're all going to write together for 25 minutes. Sisters in Crime is here to help you as always. We're going to share the Nano forum that Sisters in Crime is also doing, and there are other forums in Nano as well. And we've also just started give us your buddy name on Nano so that we can all connect there. So we're going to really be working on ways to inspire and connect with each other. My best advice for writers, and I talk to writers a lot about this, is progress over perfection. Do not stop writing. shitty first drafts are a gift. So just keep writing and don't let your perfectionism get in your way. That's the gift of NaNoWriMo, is that you are going to be writing for 30 days and it's not enough time to look back if you want to get those 50,000 words in. So all of this advice is great. Set your own goals and everything else, but don't be a perfectionist, because that's not what this is about. And have fun. And thank you so much all for being here today. It's thrilling to see all this work. And Laurie, I also want to give you a huge shout out for being an unbelievable MC and doing all of this today, because it's a ton of work. And so thank you so much.
Thank you. My only regret at being the MC is that I keep missing great comments. I can see like all these great, all my friends and people talking, and I'm like, I want to read. No, I can't read that. Thank you, Julie, for everything, but also for being here today. I'm going to go to Halley next. Halley, did you have a little daylight saving time problem today, hon?
I did. I'm very sorry.
It's okay. Progress over perfection, right?
Progress over perfection. Compassion is the name of the game today. So thank you, everybody, for having me. I completed NaNoWriMo in 2012, and that manuscript will never see the light of day. But it was a wonderful exercise for me in basically setting a goal and meeting it. And it seems like one of the things that we've been talking about today has been not necessarily adhering to that 1,667 words per day, but just setting whatever goal you like, which I think is so important. And for me, what really helped when I was doing that was I am very food motivated. So right now there's a lot of Halloween candy on sale. So I, for me, went and bought a bag of the Halloween candy. And whenever I met my goal that day, would allow myself one of the little bite-sized Snickers or whatever was going to kind of Pavlov myself into actually getting the writing done. Another thing that was really helpful for me was that if you wanted to, instead of doing a word count, if you wanted to take a set of time, I'm stealing this tip from Nadine Netman, who is, I believe, also another sister in crime. Mm-hmm. He turns on Moonlight Sonata and writes for the 15 minutes that the full version of Moonlight Sonata plays. And for me, I think that's also very useful, because you can find 15 minutes pretty much no matter what your day is to just sit there, cue your brain up and say, write. And then one other trick that I had that I found very useful was that I don't think it's ever helpful to beat yourself up if you miss writing days. But if I went 2 days in a row without writing anything, I would tell myself that I had to sit at my desk for 20 minutes and I couldn't do anything else. I couldn't look at the internet. I couldn't read.
Oh, why did all our technology problems go to the end?
I didn't do that. Can you hear me again now?
That's not her fault. That seems like it's technology on her Wi-Fi. Okay, I'm gonna just okay. So she's punishing herself a little bit to get back into writing. So Halley Sutton is the author of The Lady Upstairs, which comes out this week. It's her debut. So just want to give her a shout out. And then I also did not mention Julie Hennrikus, because we had the technology problem, is the acting executive director of Sisters in Crime and the author of several series, including the recent addition to her Garden Squad mystery series. So check out jaauthors.com if you want to learn more about Julie's work. We've got Catriona McPherson back. Now I think this is not a bad place to end this event. Catriona is a past president of Sisters in Crime, author of several series and some standalones, and you also decided to join us for Sisters in Crime NaNoWriMo Sync 50K for the first time, I think, your first Nano, for your 31st novel.
Yes.
Why?
Yes. And I want to say I'm on Patwin land, and I thank them every day. I walk to the end of the field. I walk to the end of the field, put my feet on the ground and say thank you. And I think it helps. And I also want to say, great job moderating, Laurie.
Thank you. Ooh, we're at the end.
You didn't reckon on me. I can wreck anything. So there's a sort of breezy up, happy, why I'm doing my first Nano for my 31st novel, and there's a scary, dark, honest reason that I'm doing it, and I'll give you both. So it was a friend and fellow sister, Eileen Rendell, said, when I said, I might do this, she said, you do it anyway. And I thought, that's right enough, actually. I write 2,000 words a day, 5 days a week. for 10 weeks to get 100,000 word shitty first draft. So it didn't seem too different to write 2,000 words a day, 6 days a week for the month of November, and then to write another 30,000 in December to get the first draft of my next book and get to that best writing day of the entire year when I'm stopping for Christmas and I print it out and I dance around and the house is covered in twinkle lights. So that's the happy reason. Well, why not? Because it's what I do anyway. But here's the real reason. It's because in March, remember March back in the early 14th century, I got stuck for the first time for a long, long time. And I did about maybe 10 days work in 3 months, just because, you know, things were happening. And I was really scared because my deadline for this book is the 28th of February. I was really scared that that was going to happen again. So people have been saying in the comments, and it's very kind of them, oh, it's so nice and so generous of you experienced old hacks to do this and help us. I'm not helping anyway. I am vampirically trying to suck all the confidence and energy and optimism out of people because I'm kind of terrified that that thing that happened in March is going to happen again. The other breezy reason that I'm doing NaNoWriMo is we're all doing loads of things that we thought we'd never do, right? This year, we're doing lots of things we'd never done before. What's one more? That's what I've been saying to myself. But the scary, dark truth under that is that I'm usually such a furtive control freak. I don't talk about what I'm writing. I don't tell anyone. I don't tell the publishers who've bought the book what the book's about. How rude, how nosy. But this time I'm writing the 4th in a comic series set in California. And I need my US pals. These books are ensemble pieces and they're comedies and they've got a lot of knockabout when people get together. And I don't think I can do it in isolation with a Scot talking about science in the next room. So I need you. I need my California pals. I need my US pals. And I want to say to 2020, you think you can isolate us? Think again.
Fantastic. Well, I'm glad you're doing your first Nano. I'm doing my first Nano. I have no idea what I'm writing.
I've done 746 words.
You're ahead of me already. You're so smart. You're also got a couple more hours in the day than I do as you're on the West Coast. So thank you so much for joining us, Catriona. I'm going to send you back to the audience real quick and just finish up with a couple of notes. So we at Sisters in Crime, we do monthly webinars just like this. We have 2 more to finish out the year, and they are open to the public and free. If you are interested, we have Jaden Terrell doing a 2-part Sell Your Books, Not Your Soul. So if you've already got some books or you're coming up on selling your first book, that might be something to sign up for. It's free, like I said. If you're a member of Sisters in Crime, remember that all the webinars we've ever done are actually available to you at any time. They are in the archive. So if you go to sistersincrime.org, click on the Learn tab, you will find the webinars and the webinar archive. If you're not already a member of Sisters in Crime, you should consider joining. The webinar archive is worth the price of admission by itself, and we have lots of other stuff going on in addition to the Nano stuff. So check us out at sistersincrime.org, click on the Join tab, and learn about the benefits of membership. And you can pay online, and your benefits begin instantly. There's lots of stuff on the website. So you can also learn about our Sisters in Crime chapters. We have 59 chapters at the moment, fantastic chapters, including 2 online chapters that you can check out, including one for people who are not yet published, the Guppies. It's not just for unpublished, but it's very strongly focused on getting published. And since it's after October 1st, joining Sisters in Crime now means that you're actually signing up for 2021. So this end of the year stuff is just bonus. We are done for today. We did not get to the Ask a Questions. I will go through the questions and maybe we can answer some of those on the Facebook page. So that means you need to join the Facebook group, which you can find the link for in the chat. And we can answer some of the questions that you've asked during the session there. Okay. Thank you so much, siblings and guests. Stay well, keep writing. you got to go do your 1,667 words today, and so do I. So let's get going. Sync 50,000K. 50,000K. 50K. 50K is enough. All right. Thank you so much, everybody. Have a good day. I have to learn how to cancel this.